But I understand you have other updates about the Alex Murdagh possibly killing his own family. Tell us.
Well, you know, Alex Murdagh, this is a crazy case out of South Carolina, an incredibly sad case. And there have been twists and turns all along the way. And really, we are expecting Alex Murdagh, according to several published reports, to be charged with the murders of his wife and son. You'll recall they were shot and killed on their property in South Carolina. Alex Murdagh had that horrible 911 call where he's, you know, kind of crying and yelling, and they're dead, they've been shot, things of that nature. This investigation, because this was such a prominent family, was a really high-profile case around the country, across the country, and really it's grabbed the attention of the world. Well, he basically set up, and he's accused of setting up a plot to commit suicide, to have somebody kill him so his son Buster could get the insurance money. So he's facing charges in that. Then he was facing charges for his housekeeper's, some money having to do with the housekeeper who died in his house, Gloria Satterfield, having to do with the money that was left over from an insurance policy that was supposed to go to her children. He was investigated and charged for that. Well, guess what? Now there are several published reports saying he will be indicted this week for the murders of his wife and son. And I think that we kind of all knew from the very beginning he was likely a person of interest. One of his attorneys, Jim Griffin, later confirmed that in an interview with a local TV station. And now it appears this is happening. I contacted the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, and all they would tell me is that this is an ongoing investigation and that they are heading up the investigation. So no comment there other than that. Linda.
Well, and Jeanette, I know you'll be back, because to me it's unbelievable that all these people around him died and that he could now be charged with the murder of people that he should be in love with and loved and cared for. But boy, thank you, Ann Jeanette. Always on top of everything as usual.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Linda.
Talk to you soon. All right, let me bring my guests in, Dr. John Delatorre, and then Celicia Smith-Gordon. Let me first go to you, Celicia. I just find this whole thing unbelievable. And I don't mean unbelievable in the sense of it didn't happen. I mean unbelievable that there could be this kind of evil in Alex Murdagh.
Yeah, and he's a lawyer on top of that. So he was disbarred yesterday. State of Virginia disbarred him. To answer your question, age 70 is the cutoff for jury service here in Florida and in Virginia.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. We kind of diverted, but that's a great, thank you so much for that. No one seems to have gotten that. And Jeanette, there's your answer. There is a 70-year cutoff service in Virginia for jury service. So somebody getting a jury summons to the household who would assume that it's not for the person who is born, who is over 70 or older. But now let's go to you, Dr. John. Alex Murdagh, how do you get to the point as in your head being, is it so evil that you would kill your wife, your son, your housekeeper may have died under very bad circumstances, and then you try to set up a hitman allegedly to kill you? I mean, what happens to the mind?
It's nothing that just is a snap, right? What happened is that he was experiencing a ton of stress, and it's my understanding that there might have been some other things that were going on with his practice and other stuff that might have been happening that was adding stress upon stress to his life. And so at some point, the mind can only take so much, and it starts fantasizing about what the life would be like without that kind of stress. And it can change, it can warp inside the person's head, believing them to think that he should be the only one undergoing the stress and that everyone else around him should be relieved of that stress. And by relieved, it can be corrupted into saying, then they should no longer be alive. And so it's a slow burn, it's a slow process. It's not someone that snaps. It takes a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety and depression. There's so much that's happening, and it becomes more intense the longer it festers.
And Celicia Smith-Gordon, let me go back to you now for the Alex Murdagh matter. Okay. What evidence do you think the police now have to charge him with the death of his wife and son?
Oh, goodness. I believe, unlike in the Eastman case, I think the police in this particular case, for Murdaugh, has a lot of evidence. He's got, 80 charges. So you've got the murder, but you also have the trust issues, that he's charged with failing to provide the entrustments that he was gifted to protect. And that's a lot in terms of clients. And you talk about, his mental capacity and the stress that he was under, and he didn't want other people to be stressed. But what about the people he aggrieved? What about those people? And that's a lot of people that he actually did aggrieve, for which his bar license is taken. So I think that what I find interesting is in that state, in Virginia, they're going to have a grand jury indictment for this instead of just simple charges. But he's in prison, he's in jail on a $7 million bond. So I think that they have pretty good evidence. We'll see how good it is because the grand jury is needed to indict there.
All right, those updates. Johnny Depp, Amber Heard in the Murdaugh case in South Carolina. And boy, a lot going on here in the legal world.